Yeah. I came from the world of data science. I'm a data scientist. And when I got into real estate, I was really shocked at how surface level, how shallow the use of data was. What I found was 90% of data was being gathered to convince investors to invest into some property that may have been a very shady property. So I went to a class early on. This is about 7 or 8 years ago with a guru that's teaching multifamily, and the class was really good. I mean, he knew what he was talking about. The quality was there. There was some sales pitch to upsell stuff, but I ignored it, and I got value out of it. And I was like, wow, this guy knows his shit. Knows his shit. And then a few months later, the guy who was teaching the class, the head honcho, comes out with a multifamily property, and by that time I'd done some research and I'd ranked the 516 main markets in the United States, in terms of their demographic strength, right? So some markets are very strong, some markets are very weak. And 516 markets. And the market that this syndicator was investing in his newer property was not at the very bottom of the list. It wasn't 516th. It was 515th, right? It had and it was in Louisiana. It had astonishingly bad demographics. Population growth was negative, job growth was negative, income growth was negative, home prices were not negative, but they hadn't gone up where they had gone up everywhere else in the United States, and crime was rising from an already high base.
Wow.
So I looked at that and I said, this guy is not going to do well with his project, because, I mean, look at this. These numbers are horrible. In about 8 hours, he had sold out his syndication. 8 hours, right? So $8 million worth of syndication. What the lesson that I learned there is that people are basically using data to their advantage, because when I went and looked at the syndication, what they'd done is they'd managed to somehow manipulate all the data to make all the numbers look good, even though the numbers look bad. So that day I learned a big lesson, and I said, you know what? My contribution to this industry, you look for something that you do that you're known for, is going to be, I'm going to develop a system. Eventually that system ended up being called Real Focus. I'm going to develop a system that is not a black box system. It's not a come to Neil so Neil can tell you the best cities in America to invest in. It's a system that I tell you what I do, I give it to you, and then you can improve it or change it as you wish. You can go and give it to other people and say it's Billy Keel's system. I wouldn't even sue you because it's truly meant to be given away. It's like Android, right?
Yeah,
it's open source, right? You give it away. So it took me years to develop that system. And I had to hire a Ukrainian hacker to basically spider hundreds of websites, the Bureau of Labor Statistics websites, the Census Reporter website, citydata.com, neighborhoodscout.com, housingalerts.com, localmarketmonitor.com. I took all of this data together and I said, I built something. And then I realized that I had screwed it up because it was too powerful and it was too difficult. So then I said, I'm going to use statistical analysis to figure out the answer to this question. There's this system. It takes hours and hours and hours to figure out. How can I take a subset of it and get to the point where I get the same exact result 98% of the time, but it's less than 10 minutes to use the system? Less than 10 minutes. That was my benchmark. And so we took it and developed a new system, which was something that anyone in the US could use. This is a US-based system, by the way. I'm sure that I'd love to talk to somebody to develop a Europe version of it, but I don't know which websites to spider. And so we built the system. We called it Real Focus. We stuck it on our website, and people were coming in. They were using the system, and they couldn't believe that it was free. They couldn't believe that there was no follow-up. There was no like subscription or upscale. And I was like, no, I really want to give this away because people should be making good investing decisions. They're like, what do you get out of it? I said, notoriety, right? Yeah. And I became known. People started inviting me to meetups and podcasts. Now I teach at a conference every week. I appear on 3 podcasts every week, and a huge army of geeky investors, dorky investors follow everything that I do. So to me, I got a huge benefit out of it. But one interesting part of that story was that I had it on my website and I was getting maybe like 50 people a month. And I was like, this is not enough. There's 2 million real estate investors in the US. I need somehow to 10x or 20x this. So what I did, and I'm so sad that it took me a long time to figure this out, is I sent an email to everyone that had ever downloaded the system. And I said, how do we get 50x more people to look at this system? And the answer was shockingly simple. Someone sent me an email saying, the world's largest online learning website is udemy.com. Put the course on there. And we put it on there. And our goal was, hey, if we can go from 50 people a month to 100 people a month, we're going to be really happy. And Billy, it just blew up. I mean, if you go to udemy.com/realfocus right now, there's 6,000 people taking the course just today, right? And there's 500 5-star reviews. It is the most popular and the best reviewed course on the Udemy website. And it just sort of blew up, and it got me the notoriety that I wanted and got me as many investors as I ever wanted for my projects. And those investors, they came in with trust because they were like, I know you, Neil. I know what the Real Focus system is. I know how you pick cities. And if I apply that to a city that you're going into, I know that the Real Focus system is going to give it very high marks. That kind of credibility is not something that you can create in any other way, right? Everyone comes in knowing what you do. Currently, 50,000 people in the US are using the Real Focus system actively, right? So 1% of those are invested with me. 1%, 500, right? 49,500 are using it to either buy multifamilies themselves, buy multifamilies as other syndicators for others, or to buy single family. It actually works slightly better for single family than it does for multifamily.
Okay.
And so what's amazing is I feel really good about my 500 investors and the extraordinary, life benefits they give me. But what I really feel good about is those 49,500 people. They'll remember me forever, even though there's no financial connections. And you might say, what did you get out of those people? I'm pretty sure that those 49,500 referred the 500 over to me.